recording. Okay, recording in progress. Resharing the screen. Okay, let's start now. At first, what I wanted to ask Francis, I didn't see that you had a time to write anything, right?
No, I'm very sorry. I really did not have time, but I will, um, let's make some notes during this meeting if we can, and then I'll try to write to those notes. Yeah, if that's okay with both of you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it works. Just a sec. I should set up a bit my sound. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep, very
Okay,
good.
perfect. Good. So, Francis, can you please repeat a bit your last phrase about suggestion?
Yes. So last time I was supposed to um, let's say, put together a few paragraphs of notes on some aspects of what we had discussed. I don't recall just what. I think it's in my notebook here, but I did not have time to do it. So if we are able to if we are able to, yeah, if we're able to come back to that, um, that would be good. And we can put, if
Ah,
we put
yes.
notes in this agenda, or if there were notes in the previous agenda, I don't recall. I'm sorry, I'm traveling a bit today. But
Yes.
anyway,
So, yeah, here are the notes, and also I sent some AI summary I prepared before on the Mattermost, but I will copy it here.
okay, good. Okay, good. So if we have some notes, then yeah, because I do think we should start to write a little bit to get this stuff out there.
Yeah. So, yeah, just a sec. I will copy the notes.
So
So
there
I
was
will
something on
yeah, I will.
trust. There was something on a testament. There was a lot of talk about relationship between these digital objects or digital assets. Um, somebody mentioned, was it, I forget who, I think it was Edward mentioned ontology um, of authority.
Ah,
And
yes, yes, it was.
there was quite a bit of discussion about sovereignty too, because I do think we have to sort out that concept in this field of how can we? I don't know. I don't want to use the term open science. It seems like a cheap term, but somehow the relationship between ownership um, and science almost, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's what I have in my notes from the last meeting. Just a few things like that. So trust, attestment, relationship between digital objects or digital assets. Um, somebody mentioned an ontology of authority and sovereignty. Jonas, I don't know if you can make sense out of any of that. Uh, this is
Uh,
scribbling for me.
that's more than I have, but yeah, have you looked at the AI notes?
So here they are. Sorry, you may just because I need to scroll to our agenda. You may have a look on them on the Google Doc. Yeah, but let's say these notes, let's say they are more tuned to us than the notes I had from the online services before. Yes, it was a discussion about the sovereignty and the ontology. Actually, uh, Edward and Philip, uh, let's say they have shown that there is no, let's say, awareness about the ontology, the exact ontology. And let's say from the point of view on which the DSI published works right now, let's say it's a new product out of the box. So they anyhow they could be ready to adopt some ontology. But to be honest, during this week, I didn't have a time to search for such an ontology.
What kind of ontology again?
The ontology about identification and let's say uh, the set of entities we need to identify and the data like rock rate, the metadata.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need
And
an
about it,
ontology of PIDs? Do we need an ontology of PIDs?
well, for now, let's say it doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem so because it will not be used, I guess, because it's strictly dependent from the approach you use and also the implementation for now. I don't think it is possible to develop it as strict as it is needed. Maybe I am wrong, but it seems this.
But if you want it to be,
What
if you
would be
want to be able to do mapping, hmm. Sorry, Jonas, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to ask what the actual purpose of it would be. Why do we need it, and what do we need to fulfill that purpose?
To categorize?
But categorize everything within a data sort of label, that would be, I don't think that's possible.
It's the same. I don't
I
think it's just,
I mean,
yeah, I don't think it's possible.
it would be
I mean, you would have to have an ontology that
wouldn't that
covers, I don't know, illnesses in cows to the thermodynamic properties of plastic. And I don't think.
Well, I don't think it's about these properties of data. Let's say the
Yeah.
real life relate.
So what we need is more. Let me get this straight. I'm not sure I've understood it correctly, but we need an ontology to be able to tell people who are minting their own PIDs what is necessary for it to be a PID and not just random noise.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
think.
and
that's yeah.
that would
Sorry.
also mean that it should probably have a link or some sort of identifier for a ontology within this, so that if I have data regarding diseases in cows, I use an ontology that I link to within this in order to be able to use these PIDs within an API or using them from within a set of tools.
But how would that ontology be different than just a list of metadata?
Well, it wouldn't unless you really want to be able to express that I use, for instance, ddna with a lowercase d at the beginning and then uppercase and then lowercase again, because that's what came out of my machine. And I know that everyone else uses DNA with capital letters for the DNA. So I use a sort of point to an ontology that I have used that says that this is indeed DNA, even though it doesn't look like it. But I think
Right,
that is a later
what is
problem.
that? That's a later problem. What does this have to do with the PID?
Almost nothing, unless you want to also have the opportunity to give the finder of your data the tools to view them or to use them from within the PID. I'm not sure that is what we want here. That's why I asked. Because otherwise, we just need to be able to find your data. That's all. That's a very small set of parameters we need.
Well, I was thinking PID is you have like an ORCID, you have like an ROI, you have like a DOI. These are, I thought we could categorize it that way, but I don't understand this stuff. So maybe that's what you're looking for. You're looking for PIDs that are not categorized, maybe. But if you can categorize them, you can help make things at least findable. If we're making a library,
Well, here I see, yeah. So sorry, Jonas, please go ahead.
Yeah, you would need to sort of show what encoding you're using for the file you're pointing at. And I don't think you need that much more. The address and the encoding and what's in it, maybe. Some sort of metadata. But that's...
But how do I decide which PID I use?
How you decide?
How I decide.
The way I thought it worked was that you mint something, you call it whatever, and then when you try to push it onto a more public domain or make it findable, you will get some sort of prefix and or suffix to that tells people, or well, that tells other search engines for PIDs where to look.
Okay. So
That's
purely
I might be completely wrong though. So
no, I'm wrong for sure, but
I'm counting on
just to confuse, just to help me with my confusion. So it's kind of completely relying on the metadata of the minted PID.
Well, it depends. As I see, it depends here uh, as a what entity we consider our PID. If the PID is the first entry point to find some metadata, then it works like that. Otherwise, it should be probably it could be also the let's say the registry of the existing PIDs, but I don't think it's our task.
I was thinking about you had a sort of took similarities with a torrent file, and a torrent file contains a lot of seeds where you can download it, and you can do that simultaneously. It also contains the name of the files that are in it, the type, who uploaded, and a bunch more, but not that much. It's still like a couple of bytes in size, but it still connects and resolves more or less
Uh,
to
well,
high
here,
libraries of data.
yeah, but here we actually are yielding the ontology in favor of semantics because in the torrent file we are storing, let's say, optionally because it's not needed and in most cases it isn't done. But we may store the state of the DHT. Here, when we are speaking about the ontology, there is, let's say, nothing. So it's, let's say, the list of entities, as Francis said. And
Isn't that
categorization
enough?
here, yeah. Well, sometimes that's enough, but let's say the categorization, again, it depends from which is the PID is the singular entry point or not. As I see. Francis, you may correct me if I am wrong.
No, you know what? I suggest we go back to the agenda before it becomes too apparent how much I don't know. So how little I understand. But no, I just appreciate the discussion. Yeah, I appreciate it. I have to understand more just what a PID is. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But go ahead.
thank you. And
Let's do the
yeah,
agenda.
but
Let's do the agenda. Yeah.
okay, okay. And anyhow, thank you very much for pointing this because let's say it will be an important problem, but not now, I guess. Let's say, okay, then let's go and jump into the first point in the agenda. It is a blockchain without a blockchain. It's a ledgering and private keys problem. Uh, I don't know if Jonas, do you want to say something about this problem? And did you have a look on the video of a previous meeting with Philip and Edward or the AI notes?
Uh, Sad to say, I have just gotten back to Uppsala, where I live. I have been away for the entire, well, basically from the last meeting until now. So I haven't had time to do anything work related at all. So
Okay,
sorry, I haven't.
okay. So then I just move this to the next meeting when perhaps Sergio or Slava or Benko will be presented, and let's say about the ledger and private keys problem, I could say the only thing. Uh, the guys are literally worrying about where we should store our private keys. And our, let's say, local machines are not seeming the reliable places to store them. Because of this, uh, DSI Labs decided to select ceramic as ledger because they store the private keys in the crypto wallets, and these crypto wallets are stored in order in the blockchain. To avoid this, because this technology is quite, let's say, complicated to deploy, not to maintain, but to deploy, uh, probably we need something like the, let's say, the trusted, not authority, but storage. And this is what we should search for. What we should search for. I don't know. Maybe Jonas, do you know anything that we can use already now?
Uh, I did, because I spoke to Lars about it, and we looked at something. But damn me if I remember it now.
Okay,
We had
so may you
something
ask
that
Lars?
was more or less could be used. I don't remember if it was inside of EOSC or where we looked at it. If it was another RDA project, I don't remember at all. But there was something that could do something along those lines, if I'm not correct. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, if I'm not correct.
Okay, so may you ask Lars?
I do. I will.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
But
Then. Yeah, okay, so
So,
then we will
just to clarify, what you're looking for is someplace where you can
uh,
store stuff.
Sorry,
let's
Andre
say
and Jonas, I traveled to a meeting today. I'm going to give you the, the link to the meeting because it was very interesting, or to the organization. Might be interesting for you, but I have to leave because they're locking the building. I won't be able to come back because I'm in Leiden and I have to take the train. So I'm very sorry. I'm
okay.
very sorry, but I have to
Okay,
go.
I see.
Really
No,
sorry.
no, 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 no.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. And
Thanks to
if you keep
you.
going, I hope
Happy
you
you could
do,
be here
then
anyway.
yeah, I'll look at the recording for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, no
Thanks to
problem.
you. Okay, so as we are now just two, maybe also Sergio will
Yep.
connect. Then we need the storage place for the private key. It should be, let's say, ready to be used in untrusted environment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and in case,
this is something that still should be decentralized, so that even if you're offline,
exactly.
you should be able to open your own stuff and build your own stuff.
Yes,
So
exactly. So it's like, let's say, like a private key, like a crypto wallet, but without, let's say, the technology that's pretty bad for maintenance.
yeah, and
Because actually,
you thought that, like, you have a private SSH key that is too unsecure.
yes, and because it's not reliable enough. But if there is a mechanism to derive the key and to store it, let's say, in a decentralized way, then
Yeah, you have
it
to be
could
able
be a
to.
solution.
I now remember the discussion. You need to be able to also store it within your own system or your own local system, so that you can
Exactly.
mint and use your PIDs before you actually have any connection to the internet. And
Well, yes.
that was, I think that was the problem and why we looked for a while. And I'm not sure if he found something, Lars, that is.
Okay, then if
But
we would
I will
if we
talk
would
to him.
like to yeah, if we would like to have a discussion about this, we may also organize the dedicated meeting with him. It could be quite shorter than
Uh,
ours, and we could try to find something.
You know what? I could actually phone him right now and see if he is available.
Okay, okay. If we would
So
be
I'll,
able
I'll be
to,
I'll be back in like 20 seconds.
okay.
Now he was in the middle of making dinner, so he couldn't come
Okay.
right away. But I gave him the link to the meeting.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So this is a principle. This is a principle.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah. So this is what we may rely on when we will start searching. Because I tried to find the Python library for key derivation, and it totally relies on OpenSSL. So once we would have it, would be like, let's say, standard in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, the exact process is, let's say, not so not so ready to be used in an untrusted environment because there is a root key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here is a, yes, and here is a problem.
Yes. Uh, okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Do you have
what?
any good thoughts on that?
It's let's say connected to one of the next points of our agenda. It's about the version control system encrypted repositories with, let's say, an encrypted base state.
Yeah. Okay.
We may think about it, but let's say now, as we have moved the first point, I wanted to hear from you about the identification of an agent. So, having the virtual agent on your local machine, how would you like to identify yourself?
Oh, that that is a good question. I think most people would want to use either their national ID or something. I mean, in Sweden, we have it's issued by banks for some reason, but many many countries have it issued by the state or by, I think, some insurance companies in some sort of countries. Uh, so that would definitely identify you as a person. You could also connect to your orchid, I guess, or some other, maybe your sort of edugain persona that you get from your university. That, however, makes it impossible for anyone who isn't affiliated with a university to mint a PID, and I'm not sure that should be a restriction. Maybe, but
No, definitely should
I'm not
not.
sure.
Okay,
So,
so
so
let's say, yeah.
and I think if you use if I connect with my orchid, my edugain, and myself, that is very very definitively me. There's no one else who could even get close to spoofing all three. So I think that would be considered very, very good assurance that it's me who is doing it. Um, we don't want it to be too complicated either. So it's hmm, I don't know.
Well,
I want
speaking re
to yeah, continue.
speaking in the more realistic way, I see here at least two possibilities. So both of probably the most of the people would be happy identifying the agents on their machines using either the uh, state IDs or some kind of open authority too. So it would be, for example, Google Mail or Seed.
Yeah, that
So I
would
think
could work. Google Mail. Do you think that is secure enough?
I don't think so, but too many people are using these their authorization tokens.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we cannot ignore this. I don't think that we should, for example, generate the first agent ID from this token. I think the agent ID should be completely random. But let's say, to access and to store the
Um,
initial authorization token,
then,
we can
then
use
again,
it.
when you think about it, I think it's secure enough because people who would want to spoof your identity uh, and have the means to do so, they could do so. If they want to put in a lot of work, they could do so anyway. So I
Yes,
think the only reason we're using some sort of identification and assurance is that we don't want people just randomly hacking someone else's minting process.
yes, yes,
And I
yes.
think
This
I
is,
think that is enough actually, because you don't if you are going to publish something, which is the main goal of this, you want to make your data and your stuff available to someone. I mean, if it is sensitive data, you should also include the process in which you apply for access to the data and not just go to the data itself. So
yeah.
I think it's I changed my mind. I think that using some sort of Google identifier or the two-factor what's it called? The identification app. What is it called? It's
Open,
called
yes, open authority, OAuth
oh,
2.0.
is that's one way. Is that the one I'm thinking about? Let me check. I think I have it on my phone. The Google, what's it called? Google Authenticator, it's called. That is a
But Google
two-factor.
Authenticator is completely different. It's, let's say, just one time
Yes,
password.
I thought that you could use that because that would
Uh,
be secure enough.
yes, yes, it could be secure enough.
And
Let's say,
you connect to that with your Google account. So uh, in if we allow Google accounts, we should make it so that at least when you're minting stuff, you do so because you're not going to mint stuff every 5 minutes. So using some
yes,
sort of two-factor verification is a good idea.
yes, yes. Or we may use something like that to verify, let's say, the user ID's internal representation.
We could. I don't know how to do that, but that is that a more feasible solution?
Let's say in terms of the real life, yes, because
Okay.
sometimes these kind of or one time recognition may really save your day. I experienced this, let's say, not so many months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that we should have some support for multi-factor authentication. Otherwise, people will
Yes,
trust the minting
yes,
process.
yes. So let's say it's about again storing the user profiles.
Yeah. I think now that we're talking about the agent, if I am just using it, I think it should be launched when I start my computer or my phone. It should be very lightweight. And when I click a link that is a PID, it should use this agent to perhaps identify me as a user if necessary. Otherwise, just go to wherever it takes me and see if I have access.
Well, yes, but you mean
So,
the virtual agent. Yeah, you mean the virtual agent. Because let's
yes,
say, yeah, we can do a
because
distinguish between the user and the agent.
looking at PIDs and minting PIDs will probably be two completely different processes.
Yes,
Maybe
and
you need a different client to do that.
well, perhaps it could be a good idea. It could be a good idea because let's say, to be honest, as let's say the low-level programmer for all of my life, I could consider that the first thing I would create for doing this, it's a command line tool. And for this tool, for sure, I will be happy to have everything, but it could also could be the two different clients.
I think that most people would like it to be as invisible as possible.
Yeah,
Just a process in the background that when you do something that refers to a PID, this decodes it and just sends you to the place or gives you an error saying that you don't have access.
so it's just, let's say, the resolver, decentralized storage client, and let's say the ledger, and nothing more.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
I think that that would be because most people never mint a PID because they don't publish
Yeah,
any. But many people want to read scientific articles of various kinds, and finding them would be that's what this is for: finding stuff, making your stuff findable and accessible, interoperable,
yeah,
and reusable. No, but it's
yes,
so I think that having a really easy to use lightweight client that that is for just readers. I mean, you have if you're looking at Acrobat, Adobe's PDF suite,
yeah,
you have Acrobat Reader that you could have almost anywhere, and if you just open a PDF, it automatically selects this and opens the PDF from wherever you wanted to look at it. But if you want to um, write a PDF, that's a whole another story. You need some completely different program, also from Adobe if you want, but it's a different beast, and that one is not suitable for phones, I would say, because it's not as lightweight. Whereas the
well,
Acrobat Reader that you can have on an old phone, and
yes,
and,
yes,
and I
fair
think we
enough.
should aim for something akin to that, so that we can make it easily accessible for everyone, even in the global south, where I mean, if you're in many countries in Africa, you don't have that. The internet is not that good, I have to say. I've been there, and trying to work is it's a bit like sitting on a 56K modem nowadays, which would be a huge problem. But if you just want to have to download some metadata, see if you can find it, and then perhaps on your computer mint stuff on your sort of maybe your university's designated computer, do that. I think you still would have a lot of access, and you would be able to give access to the whole world, even if you don't have that good infrastructure. And that is, for me at least, that is one of the key points of doing this decentralized.
Yes, fair enough. Yes, and I completely agree. I completely agree with this point of view, because let's say yes, let's say in the best case, if you have whatever you need already on your local machine, you should just verify from the network that it's valid, and that's all.
Yes,
Not downloading anything, not downloading, let's say uploading anything, just two network packets, then passing the data to the DHT, and that's all.
yes.
Okay, okay, so we could concentrate on this. Could concentrate on this. As less. Okay, so another point here. And okay, so I think we have completed with this point. Let's jump for the next, which is an understanding of the records as VCS repositories with an encrypted base state. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I have developed a solution that shares on IP first the Git repositories. Actually, literally shares the states.
Is that
So
the
if
you posted an article about IPFS uh, sort of fair data objects? Is it related to that?
yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Yep.
And I made this presentation even before I have developed this tool, when I was working for the Expanse project, and I was
Okay.
making a research about the IPFS as, let's say, fair stateful publishing engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have just developed the simple tool that you can you can share the current state of your Git repository, unless you don't have an AIPLD, so the, let's say, the analogy of the domain name, or you can just share the public key, and everyone who has this public key may consider having a read-only access to your repository, despite it is encrypted or not. And it's quite, let's say, uh, not so difficult to implement the encryption inside. So I think it would be resolved like that. So imagining that the GitHub repository on which we have together with the three states of the repository, public endpoint, and the history. We may do also the three states of encryption. So it could be the uh, totally open repository, in which everyone could place a pull request. It could be partially encrypted repository, so you can read the entry point state, but you cannot either place a pull request, or you cannot, without owning a private key, to have an access to the history of the commits.
Yeah.
Or either it could be completely encrypted. So the only PID we have is an entry point. I think it could be a solution because, let's say, from the point of view of not storage, but workflow, Git as a version control system is already decentralized. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
also once Sergio sent us the link to the Radical XYZ,
Yeah. I
which is a,
remember that.
let's yeah version control repository processing system. But to be honest, I don't place so many hopes on this system, just because underneath the Git technology, it also utilizes a client server approach, because it is based
Yeah.
actually on the web interface. So you should have a local server, you should have an establishment for running something like Node.js or React Native. So you need a quite, let's say, heavy framework to use the whole
Yeah.
such a
That's
system.
the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think we want that. We want it as lightweight as possible
Yes.
and,
So,
and
but
as secure as needed.
yeah, but as an idea, I think it's quite brilliant.
As an idea, it's very good inspiration. I was
Yeah.
thinking, do we need more levels than those three? But I couldn't think of anything right away. So I think completely private, sort of invite only, and public are that's how I think about those three levels at GitHub. But that I don't see any problems with that. I mean, you could always
Exactly.
if you start it private and then you want to work together with people, you could do it. You could sort of shift it towards being invite only, and when you're finished with it, you just make it public. Or if you don't want it, maybe we need like step 2.5, where it is publicly findable, but you need to ask to be able to read it. for more sensitive data, because sensitive data almost always have some non-sensitive metadata. For instance, the name, the glands that are examined, and those you could find. Because if you know that there's an exceptionally large data cohort of kidney diseases out there and you want to do a study on kidneys, you want access to that. So it's good that you can find it, but you shouldn't get access to the actual data because that is patient data. So you need to jump through some hoops to verify that you are using this for research and you're not spreading it along, and you're well, all the things you need to prove to the data controller that you should have access. But that is not our problem. We only want to we only want the researcher to find it and be able to see how can I get access. We don't want to actually give access to everyone based on that, even though we probably could.
Um, yes, and I could say that I really agree with you about the levels of security, but I want to also to ask you, would you like to write it down?
Uh,
Here,
uh,
even here in the
yeah,
highlights.
we could write it now. Uh,
Yes, let's do.
do you want me to do it, or do you want to just?
Can you please, because my laptop I'm using, I'm not now in my office, so I'm using the laptop which is quite already loaded by the recording.
Yeah. Did you post a link to this? Uh,
To the agenda, yes, I will also drop it now to the chat.
yeah, that would be really fast for me if you
Yeah.
just. Okay. Now I can go right in. So, where is
It's
it? Page.
the last header. I will now copy the exact link for you.
Yeah, now I feel like a baby that needs a lot of hand holding, but sure. Okay, there we are.
Okay, perfect.
So, should we write it under highlights or under notes?
Let's write on the highlights.
Yep. I have no idea why it changes my account all the time, but it does,
Yes, it does. I have
and I
no
don't like
idea.
it.
Oh, Lars connected.
He did?
Yes. Hi, Lars. And we have a question for you.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I remember you talked about something. We have a problem where we want to store private keys in a
Mhm.
safe place, and I think we had a discussion about this last year or something close to it, but I don't
Mhm.
remember anything of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is correct. I need to check something, see if I can find. See if I can find any of the um, notes myself. Storing private keys. No. I'm trying to remember myself. But
It seems to elude me at the moment. Might be something I have to look into a little bit more.
We're talking about levels of security right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Should I post them after your AI summary, or
No. Just let's say here in the highlights for our current meeting. I sent already the
yeah.
link.
Okay, I understand. I was at the wrong place. Sorry.
No,
Here.
nothing special. That's good.
Regarding the private keys, I have to think / look in different notes for a while. So, but I can send out an email summary of what I find.
It will be good. It will be really good because we have let's say the mailing list we have, and it will be quite easy.
Yeah. Yeah, the ledger and private keys problem. Yeah, I remember vaguely something like Jonas said. Remember the conversation, just not what we.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were discussing about thinking on the let's say our records, despite it is metadata or the real data, as like it is a version control system repository with an encrypted base state and let's say the different levels of security implemented by default.
Yeah.
So because now what I'm thinking about that the only thing we need really let's say distributed hash table is an exchange of information between the agents.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly like it was done already in the BitTorrent network.
Yeah.
So once you have identified the client, then you can just pass to this client, let's say, the request to authorize himself, and once the authorization is okay, then the client opens the access to the decentralized storage like we have in IRO or IPFS.
I would also, when it comes to the 4 levels of security, I would actually set local as the zero, and distinguishes from private, so that completely private is still shared, but shared privately.
That is my second.
You don't have any connection with any, like that would be in a system that, for example, does not have internet access, or that is completely offline compared to the rest of internet, which would be a completely local instance.
Yes,
So let's say
that is the same. I meant.
It's not the same. It's a difference between a private but accessible.
What do you mean? It's private, but it's not accessible. That is the whole point.
No. So if you have a private, something that is private, it can be you and I share a network, that we share over open machines, but on a private access, right?
That is level 2.
I think it's better to clarify because
Yeah, I would
invite.
call the first private. I would call the first local, and the second private.
Well, okay. For some reason,
that's the terminology.
I changed my mind. It was supposed to look like that, but
Yeah.
it didn't.
And then
It didn't erase my private. It erased. It just added local.
yeah, and then I would set private invite only on level 2.
Yeah, sure.
And you can.
This is a very ugly list.
And you can use. You don't have to do and invite only. You can do private dash invite only. No, not slash dash. Like compared to a GitHub, it's an explanation. Invite only.
Okay, but
Private
this
invite.
was I no. Then I want to use that instead.
Okay, yeah, you can use that instead.
Because I used the dash in order to have a comparison with
Okay, so the
GitHub
dash
framework.
the dash is comparison. The
Okay.
after is explanation. Good. Okay, great. I'm on board for that. Yeah.
I'm still trying to find the that one. Okay, now I have some sort of numbering, which is good, but I don't want my homemade numbers to. There, now it is a numbered list at least.
Mm-hmm. Good. So third is open to find, and then fourth is open to edit, I guess. Open to find, but permission to access. Yeah.
I don't think that one is available on GitHub,
No.
but this one is.
Mm. And then yeah.
Should we have a level where it's open to edit?
Yeah.
Anyone?
That's what I think. The last one should be open to edit. So you have private protected, but you have 2 levels of protected. Private protected and then public. If you think about it from a information hiding perspective. Like
Yeah.
you have private
But well, I was thinking about what would that mean? That would mean that you give open access to edit your PID, or does it give open access to edit your document?
Well, it's about the documents, not the PIDs. The PIDs should be persistent.
Good. Then I.
So open is to edit data, not edit. So the last one
underline, let's say record, not
record.
not the PID itself.
Yeah. So it's not open to edit. It's open to edit the record, not the PID, of course. PID is by its very nature not editable, but it's open to edit the record.
I think we could do it like that.
Can you scroll down a little bit? Yes. I think these should be good levels of security. So because you have a local one, which basically is what someone would like to use inside a repository that's for a company or something like that.
Yeah, and this is also, I would say, that is something that you would probably use when you're trying out what files you would want to use before you have any data or something like that. Because most oftenly, I would say that they're not useful for anyone else because they're not finished.
let's say yeah, let's say you are meeting the
Yeah,
PID
that was a
and
bad meaning.
I don't.
How should I formulated it?
Yeah, I don't.
Formulated.
I don't think that's a really like if you want to keep it clean and
I
you
keep it like that.
local as local, and then you keep the private as the private one and open to
Yeah,
find.
I was thinking just because when you start, when you mint a PID, uh, what would be the default level that you would expect to get when you start? I think that would be completely local.
No.
You don't think so?
no, I don't think. I also don't think so.
Local, you would
I
only
think
set up specifically.
it should be level 3.
Yeah, level 3 is definitely should be default. I agree. Level 3 is default, and then you either restrict or add more access to your
Okay, then
local. Local
why
is a
not?
completely separate. So basically, the reason why I kind of said level 0 is that it's slightly so a completely isolated instance of a PID network is the local one,
Yeah,
which means it's very different from the rest of them. So because all of the others are implemented are exist in the same way, just with different access parameters.
yeah,
While
and different network connections.
Let's
not
say
necessarily,
we cannot
yeah.
say these network connections. Let's say different authorization entries,
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, okay, sure. That
that
is
is what I would
better.
say.
Yep.
Different
different
because
authorities,
I
let's
agree.
say.
between the
I
local.
agree.
That's the difference between the local and the rest. The rest, the four others, they have the same network structure.
Yeah, but I think
Different authorization.
local is also
Local has
a
a
bit
different.
ambiguous because if it's local to, I don't know, Upmax, then it would be fairly findable for a lot of people because there are so many users.
If it's not accessible outside of from someone outside of the machine. Yes. So basically,
Yeah,
think of,
but I was thinking in my mind, which I
but
realize
it could be a
is
lot
not
of
how you
people.
want to use this.
Yeah,
In
but
my
it could be a lot
mind,
of people. If you have,
level 1 and 2 were only on the same machine.
no, level 2 can be definitely be on different machines. I think level
That
1
yeah,
is
but that is why I formulated it as I did
one
before,
network.
because I was thinking about level 1 and 2 was on a completely private machine.
No, that would not make sense. Private, in the sense as GitHub with private key is one thing. It is open. It's on an open network. The completely local one is on a closed network, uh, which means it's separate from the rest of the PID network. You can't.
Yeah, I should actually put it like
But
this.
it could be
It could be a Git project, but it couldn't be a GitHub project.
no, exactly, because
Yeah.
here it is. What you if let's say Astra has one, right? They probably would like to use something like this, and they would love to have a completely private one that is completely local, which can't be accessed from outside of Astra's machine. But it can be maybe 10,000
Yep.
people that are accessing it. So
Yes. So, but I thought that level 1 would still be limited to one person.
no,
That was what I thought.
uh, could be one person, could be a few persons.
But the reason I thought one person is because make that not one person, but one PID issuer. Because if I log into the PID client with, I don't know, my bank ID or my state ID, my EduGain login, my Orchid, whatever, then it's pointing towards me and not my institution nor my research group. So before I have shared it with the other persons who are working on it, it's just mine. And that was what I meant by completely local and completely private.
Yeah, but there needs to be two differences there, because you need to have local to be able to mean the machine separate network,
Uh,
and you need to have
yeah, yes, and there is also a problem with the PID itself, because once you are creating the PID, let's say you are creating the identifier itself, uh, until you will not, let's say, let it be not findable, but available for, let's say, cross-check in the decentralized network, unless you didn't do it, there could be a collision problem.
yeah.
This is what bothers me in this case, because once you are keeping it only local and making it a default behavior, there is a chance that someone generated exactly the same identifier, and once you will try to publish it, you should regenerate an entry point, which should not be possible, I
But
think. So
Yeah,
it, I mean,
that's yeah. From local, you shouldn't be able to do. You shouldn't be able to get, like, if you've done a local, it is local. It is a separate network. Otherwise, you will get network conflicts, like you said, issuing conflicts or
yes,
risk of it.
but this is why you could have two approaches. One is you are able to make up the name of your PID only when you're working on your computer within your private uh, network. Otherwise, it will be sort of identified as a random string that isn't already available on the distributed net. And but I'm not sure if I think, well, why not start there? Make it a random string that is perhaps dependent on your login, so that you have a lot of I don't know, a hash number that is for you, and then you have something that is just a counting number for the number of documents that you have issued, and then there should be fairly small chance that someone else has gotten the exact same when you try to
let's
publish.
say, in this case, how would you like if, for example, you are working together with someone else and keeping it completely local? How would you like to share this record between yours, let's say, inside your team?
That was when I thought that within this local area, for instance, we have a system that is connected to a computer, but not in itself to internet. But on that one, you can be several persons working within the same project. So
Yes.
if we were having a PID that points towards the data set in that project, I think what I was after was, I don't know, this was some sort of thing that the DPID people talked about, that you could use this before you have ever connected to the internet, just locally, and keep track of your own data on
Yes,
your
I
local
can
machine.
understand. Yeah, I can understand what you are talking about, but it's let's say it's pretty similar that it's done how it is done in Git workflow. So let's consider this as a commit ID shared between the team.
Yeah, but that is what I meant by level 2.
No,
So
because Git project, which is stored in the local network,
Yeah.
and the GitHub project, which is stored on the
Yes, I know that is
somehow
stored
sort,
on a
yeah.
server, but I was under the impression that you needed to sort of, in order to mint these PIDs, you would have to have some sort of local server in order to do that. That, in a way, kept track of your documents and your data. So that if you wanted to have your data with a PID, you could do so, and you could share it locally, but you could still have the benefit of giving access to only a couple of persons within that project, so that you could have a project where you have 20 people, where 5 have access to the data, and another 5 have access to a completely different set of data, but they are all located within that project.
Yes, that's why I'm setting them separate, because the local versus open network is, so if you think of a branch, so you have the first branch in security is between local and
this
shared network.
Maybe it should be like,
and then shared network. Yeah, exactly. One is completely local, and there is shared. No, you don't need to have that. What I was thinking, so if you think of it as a tree, right? So the first 2 branches that branch out is local and shared networks, right? And inside of the local, you have the 4-1 private, open to find access, and open to find edit the record.
yeah.
And inside the shared one,
Actually, I think I understand what you mean, and I will do this. Where we have
yeah, you can do it exactly like that. Perfect. That works fine, because
Yeah.
you have
then it's
branches and
10 levels.
Yeah, or 8.
Oh, it's not. It's 8.
But
I can't count.
You do you.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the difference is how you approach the network, right? So you have shared network and private net or local network, and then from those you have the security levels, and the security are private and protected but findable, and protected and accessible, and then you have open to edit, so public. Those are the levels of security, and that seems to be a little bit more in line with standard usage within cybersecurity, I think.
Yeah, I think this is better because, as you said, there is a branch, and completely local could still be completely open to anyone that is on that local machine,
Yes.
which is a level A4 in this.
Yeah, exactly. So you have level A4, for example, and a level A4 can be accessed by more people than a level B1, for example. Could be.
Yeah, definitely. Unless you are very, very many people that you have invited with private keys.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, is that's why the 2 are very different, and that's the
yeah. And I knew that was something that I really didn't like it as a ladder, because it felt like we were going in 2 directions, and I think that clarification solved it for me, at least.
Yeah,
I think you understand more what I meant now.
Yeah, I think it's easier to understand what happens when you look at it from a branching perspective, because now we're conforming to standard levels of security, which is much better, and we're conforming to a standard way of describing network security. So
Yeah. Yeah.
But this would mean that either A2 or B2 would be the default level.
Yes.
Depending on your choice, I guess.
Depending whether or not you're on an A system or a B system.
Exactly.
So yeah, so the default is always 2. So default security level is
Yep.
always 2.
But now I also like it and understand it. So I thought that was a good distinction.
Yeah, and then you can choose
Yeah.
the other ones
It
are
already said default level after the line, but sure.
doesn't matter. I like the bracket default. I like that one. It's a good way of showing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 2 tiers of 4 levels each.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we can say now that we agreed on it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. And I think everyone is happy about thinking on our records as version control system repositories.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can set here 2 plus, which is totally agreed.
Yes.
Yeah, the concepts and definition. Okay, if you don't mind, may we jump for the next? Okay,
I don't mind.
for the sorry?
No, I don't mind. I
Okay,
thought, yes, it's a good idea.
yeah, okay. So the progress discussion on the concepts and definitions. Let's say, unfortunately, I didn't have a time to write anything during the last week, so you can see just the current state of the document.
Yeah, I remember this document.
Yeah, we already, because the formal grammar, there is nothing to change, I guess. About the realms, we once have a discussion with Francis, so I think he's more or less happy with this, but I really wanted to see the opinion of Sergio about it. Here is about the limitation on the DHT.
Mm-hmm.
So we may establish the message exchange between the virtual agents. A message format, it's let's say the proposition, so it's open for additions. I will also drop now the link to the chat.
Perfect.
Also the, let's say, the draft specification for the message format, because let's say it's quite convenient. And what I'm really now working on is this system status consensus, which should
Mm-hmm.
be established before we will start operating on resolution,
Mm-hmm.
and the internal representation for multi-realm, because
Mm-hmm.
this is a killer feature, I guess. If
Mm-hmm.
resolving one hour, let's say decentralized PID you may access, for example, or seed, it will be already a killer feature.
Mm-hmm.
Because we may let's say store we may act as a backup storage for any kind of the other PIDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here's quite not a lot, but many lines written, and I would be pretty happy if someone of you will have a look and make the additions, opinions, comments, suggestions, whatever you want. Because here, the last point on which I am working, I stopped my writing right now, is the agent. So the definition and operation protocol for the operating protocol of the virtual agent is, let's say, the last probably essential part we hadn't right now.
So that
So
is the actual piece of code that searches and finds the content of a PID.
yes, and it actually fulfills whatever it is written before. For example, this is completely borrowed from Git. Actually, it's borrowed from Git and IPFS and some other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. it has some similarities to a JSON Web Token as well.
Exactly. And also even the rock rate. But rock rate doesn't perform a recursive lookup. This schema seems to be able to do.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, thank you. Uh, I return to the agenda because we have only 7 minutes left of my booked time.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Francis left, probably you know nothing about the Quora funding program.
No.
No, not more than he has been telling us. So
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
it was a shame he actually got thrown out because he was at a public place and they were closing down because
oh
he was traveling.
yes,
So
yes,
he had to go. I don't know if he
yes, he,
had to go to his hotel or something, but he wouldn't be able to rejoin within the time limit.
no, yeah.
yes, yes. So it's quite sad. Okay, so let's return now.
I think we tabled the Quora one till next time so that he can be here. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
because
So I'm
that
yeah.
progress there.
some sort of there was some was that a call that was um,
It was
posted
announced.
in December?
We were reading about it that it should be announced in December, but I
Yeah.
didn't see any updates on the
No,
website
me
of
neither. But
Quora.
I haven't looked. After January because I have been away and doing other stuff.
I think he talked
Either
about
me.
um,
I will find because it's on the old agenda of one of the meetings. It is still available.
But we found something about it being like the deadline was in March or something. It was quite far away.
Yes,
So
yes. So
it's not. We can wait until Francis can be here.
yeah, I think so.
yes, I think so. So we may, let's say, spend the remaining 4 minutes. If you don't mind, we can spend the remaining 4 minutes just analyzing let's say, this proposed concept. What do you think? Or do you have any ideas?
So that is a proposition to actually resolve things that are located basically at different addresses to the
Uh,
same
let's
document
let's say
or
it's a yeah, but it's not about a document. It's a resolution to the, let's say, single internal agent ID. For example,
okay, I see.
once you have registered with the Google, it could be the generated the internal ID, and but it should be resolvable both from Google token and from or seed token from whatever you may adjust to it. This is what could we say a multi-realm lookup.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And was that something that you could do with GitHub, or is this something?
Uh, no, because both GitHub and GitLab, and even Radical, I guess, they support this kind of authorization, but using the traditional centralized web.
Okay,
So we need a server to resolve the token.
okay. So in order to be able to log in using different
I-
names of yourself, you would need um, to basically tell beforehand that this is also me.
Yes, of course, because authorization logic it requires this. Once you didn't
I was
connect any
thinking, I was thinking if you could do
yeah.
something even more magical, where if you are logged in with a new thing, you would get sort of the question to, is this still you? Do you want to add this to your PIDs to identify you? As we discussed before Lars arrived, that if you have this national ID, BankID in Sweden, you have EduGain, and you have your ORCID, then it's very small probability of someone spoofing all three, because that would be someone who basically knows me and have access to all of my stuff. So I could probably track them down. And doing that would make it really, at least the assurance would be really great on it being me doing it. So,
Well, yeah,
but I think if you start with one of them, you could probably just add other ways. Would that be a
exactly.
problem?
Exactly. And this is
But
why, but let's,
there are software where you are able to log in using different versions. You could use your Gmail account, or you could use the app that the developer themselves have supplied to you, and you could use I don't know, Facebook, or continue with
yes,
Microsoft or something like that. So there are a lot of ways to come to the same place already.
yes.
So
This is
this
what
is
I'm thinking.
our version of doing that.
Yes, we definitely need it because it is quite difficult to implement something like that in the decentralized environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I included this paragraph here
Mhm.
because we need a unified internal representation for the, let's say, the your personal ID as, let's say, an operating user.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's impossible to derive your key from many, let's say it's a relationship many from many, and it's let's say almost impossible to derive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But I
yeah,
think
but
that is also a feature. I think it's good that it's impossible to do it unless you have the correct credentials.
yes, yes,
So,
but
so,
because
so
you
I mean,
always yeah, because you always should have a root representation, and it's quite, let's say, to me, I don't know because I didn't have a test until now, but I will do it about the derivation made in the version control system. If it is possible, it could be, let's say, really a good solution, because
yeah,
let's say probably everyone has Git. Everyone who develops anything has Git on his machine.
yeah, most likely. Today,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah, now we have already accessed the time, so let me please switch to this announcement.
So
And
that's the
here is a
announcement, and there is
thank you, Lars.
has been it said postponed, didn't it?
but if you read down,
Now been postponed until mid-February.
yes, the call.
Yes,
But if you look down a little bit, there's an information session on the Cascade Fund.
Cascade funding webinar,
Yeah, and that
in
is
which
going
we
to be on
can,
January 30th.
yes.
So that
So
just
after,
to understand when they will tell us about what it is, and
Yeah,
then
and
yeah,
the actual call will be in February sometime,
yes.
opened in February.
So we are really in no hurry at all.
No. There is.
yes. And for me, it's quite a relief because until the end of January, I will be pretty very busy.
Yep.
So as now we are facing stopping the meeting. I am very sorry. I am very sorry for stopping right now, but I should definitely do it. I was really
the
sorry.
meetings fixed. I think it's a good idea to keep the meeting fixed so that you get that discipline,
Yes,
even
yes,
even
yes.
if it's very interesting. But that leaves us
Yeah.
with very interesting discussion for next time.
Yes.
Yes, of course, as we have also 2 points which were already moved.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, thank you both very much, and also in advance to Francis.
Yeah.
And the next meeting will be planned for in 2 weeks, so it will be on 28th of January at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will publish the let's say the link to this Cascade Funding webinar on the Mattermost and also on the mailing list. And then let's say probably it will be the announcement for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. And I was glad seeing you here.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for a meeting.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
very productive, despite being very few people here.
Yes,
There's usually a
yes. Let's say we accumulated a bit of material to produce.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye. Bye bye.